here in my garage. Just got this new bike here. It's a lot of fun to ride. But you know what I like more than materialistic things? Knowledge. In fact, I had to get a new bike rack installed to hold the 2,000 new bikes I bought. So you've got a new bike and you're looking for a bike rack to haul that thing around. Well, that was my situation 2 years ago when I got this bike at least. I was looking for a good rack with Ebike weight capacity that wasn't going to make me spend another $1,000 on top of what I was already spending. This is the one that I ended up with, so we're checking out the KAC Double Bike Rack. Back when I bought this in 2021, outdoor supplies were either sold out or selling out super fast because everyone was so pent up in their homes and looking to get out and do stuff. So I shopped around for a while and ended up with this one and have been super happy with it. This rack comes in a few different sizes depending on what you need. We got this before we had a truck, but we knew we wanted to go that route eventually. So we got the 2-inch option ourselves and had a hitch installed on our car at the time, and we just got a hitch adapter so it would fit. So these are the accessories we got if you end up in a similar situation like we were. You've got the adapter here, and I added another locking pin because your bike rack comes with this locking pin that goes through here and here, but it'll be hooked to the car back here. So as unfortunate as it is, I would recommend getting another locking one because this whole thing could be pulled right out with your whole rack and bikes on there otherwise. And the last thing on here is if you are using an adapter, I highly recommend getting this attachment here. It just tightens vertically on this hitch and just helps reduce wobbles. I did have wobbles on there a bit. The lock that this one comes with, they have like an anti-lock system in here, but if you're adding an adapter, you'll still get some wobbles. I'll link all this down below though, so you can just get what you need for your situation. We had U-Haul install our hitch, and we were actually able to save a little bit of money because we didn't need any of the electrical installed, since we weren't planning to haul any trailers. Just search car hitch installation in your area if you need that too. If you are installing this kind of vertical clamp, I've found that the best way to get it super tight is like tighten it all the way that you can. And then I was lifting up on, like kind of pulling on this, like I'd get the wrench ready, and then I would pull up, try to get the slack, and then I would tighten it. And that's helped me get it extra secure. So you might be able to like stack some blocks to kind of just tilt this up, but this still has a little bit of give, but it's super minor compared to without that. So one thing I like that they've done on this hook right here is it's the upper one. Normally, you loosen it and you can adjust this, and if you undid the screw at the top, you could just pop this thing right off, which would make your bike really accessible. You tighten this down as you would with your bike. So right then you can't move it, but I can still twist this and loosen it and lift it, but there's just this little flip here, and just with the same key, I can lock this, and then it just freely spins, so you can't loosen it, which is kind of cool. And with this top one locking, that also secures the one beneath it, and these ones don't need that because you can't lift the bikes off with this locked. I really like how adjustable this bike rack is overall, both from tire capacity to street bikes to fat tire bikes. Mine's right in the middle, but these tire racks will adjust to match your bike's length. You just pull them right out to wherever it needs to be. I ended up scratching on here the lengths that I need to set it for our bikes, so I'm not doing micro adjustments every time. I know right where to slide them. But if you have the storage capacity, you could leave them extended to your length. It obviously would just take up more floor space. And this should be obvious, but make sure that your bikes are centered with your vehicle so they're not sticking out to one side or the other and clipping something when you're driving. And once you have the right length set, you just tighten these down all the way so they can't slide once your bike is loaded. These bike frame hooks are also padded, which is nice to protect your bike paint, and you just raise these to whatever height your bikes need. With e-bikes, you'll typically take the battery off for transportation, but my wife's bike is lighter, so it doesn't really matter. I leave her battery in. When you take the battery out of an e-bike, the edge of the frame is a lot thinner, and I actually did that on mine once, hooked it on the wrong part, and it cut the padding here. So on my bike, I hook on the upper part of the frame that has no battery, and then my wife's is a step-through bike. So if I took the battery out, I would be forced to put this on that sharp edge. But again, where hers is lighter, it just kind of worked out for us, where I just leave her battery in, and then this can just hook right around that. Nothing too fancy, but they do include Velcro tire straps, just to make sure your tires won't rotate at all. Now that the tires are all strapped in, I'm just gonna make sure that's tight. My seat is unfortunately a little tall, so I'll just drop that out of the way. One trick that I do to remember which orientation the bikes go is I'm typically the driver, so I've got my bike facing me. My wife is the passenger, her bike facing her. And they do include this add-on strap. I usually just throw it around the whole thing just to give it a little extra security, just stability. Just kind of ties the bikes together. Nothing crazy. So there we have it. These are all installed and secure, and there is still a little wiggle room in this. That's just because of the hitch adapter. Unfortunately, that's just how it's going to be on this one using the adapter, but after driving with it a few times, I got used to it. Again, you can buy the exact size if you are setting this up on a car. You don't have to do it the adapter way like I have. And one last feature that was a selling point for me is the tilt system on this. Now I have seen on other reviews for different bike racks that the tilt mechanism isn't the easiest to use. This it's tucked in there, so you got to reach in, but it's not too bad. I would recommend having a partner help you with this if you are worried about catching this whole load. I like to stabilize it on its way down just so the bikes aren't crashing down and causing a lot of force impact. But if you feel capable, please don't try this if you do not feel safe. So I'm going to grab my bike frame just to stabilize it on its way down. I'm kind of pushing up, grab that handle, putting a lot of pressure on the bikes. There we go. So I pushed it up. That's for the storage when there's no bikes in there. Anyway, but slowly bring it down. And there you have it. I can let go of these just fine. And I can open the trunk. I can access anything in here, it'll be loading or whatever. So that's a nice option. That was a big selling point for me. You can just heave that back up and you hear that nice click that it's back in there. I think it's probably easier to grab it from the outside, but we'll try it right here too. I don't know what's best, honestly. Again, just make sure you're safe. I'm gonna pull these up just a little bit, release that handle, and just ease them down. So not too bad overall. And you can just pull these back up till you hear that snap for the mechanism to lock back in. And there you go. But just like that, we're set to go. So let's go try this thing out, shall we? So what's it gonna take to get you in one of these bad boys today? I mean, what's the perk of a bike rack if you've got a truck? Well, unless you want to heave your 60-pound bike up into the bed, it's a lot nicer lifting it a much smaller distance. If you have a hard time lifting your bike all the way up, one trick you can do is bring it about parallel, maybe a little past. Hold the back brake down and then lift the front tire up and just roll that one in. Then once that's there, you can kind of let go and maybe stabilize it still, but you can lift the back side up, makes it a little bit easier that way. And then I'll go ahead and, what do you know, I put it on backwards. Let's try this again. That's kind of what I do with mine on the back. I have to lift it over the bar anyway. So I wheel it over and then work on getting it up. But That's just one little trick for you. Now that I've got the bikes all secure on here, I've got the tires strapped down, I've got the toe strap added on, you know, for just that extra security. But I've actually never tried taking the tailgate down with these on. So, you know, with a truck, if you're taking your bikes camping or something and you got to put supplies in, let's test it out. Again, I'm securing the bike here. This is much easier on the truck, by the way, it's much higher up. But grabbing that, releasing it, letting it down nice and easy. There we go. So it looks like the tailgate's hitting right at the handle with my bike pedal. I don't know, maybe I can twist that. Okay, I moved my bike pedal up and whoo! Okay, so here we go. Have your bike pedal up, and I'm literally missing this by the width of my finger, so that's probably close to an inch. Within an inch, but it does clear. So now I've got my camping supply, and away we go. All right, letting this back up. Perfect. So as far as cons, all I've got to say is, you know, it takes up a bit of a footprint for storage, and the bike rack itself is a little bit heavy, not too bad overall. But aside from that, the only big thing for me are the wobbles, and that's more on the car. So I hope this was helpful for you. I hope I answered some questions and made your shopping a little easier. I know these things can get really expensive and you're already spending a bunch on your bike. You don't necessarily need to go for the biggest and greatest to get the job done. But thank you for watching. Please hit that like button so I know you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.